And we are live. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to day 2 of the $1 Million Mastermind. And we have our live lunch panel. See, the whole point of this was, some people like to hang out and still learn instead of going to lunch, right? We got a lot of healthy people that don't even eat lunch, and a lot of people that maybe on drugs that don't eat lunch. I'm just kidding about that part. But so we wanted to be able to have a group of super successful people, and I have not disappointed, super successful people that could come and talk about their experiences and what they're doing during this time, during the lunchtime. So obviously you're at home, so you can just eat lunch the same place you've been eating lunch for the last 60 fucking days. Who are we kidding, right? And so I wanted to run this live. There's only 2 live portions in case you haven't been able to, spoiler alert, everything else has been streamed and pre-recorded so that it looked well, but we have 2 live portions of women's panels and lunch panels. So welcome to day 2 lunch panel. Today's host is my dear friend and fellow Break Free Academy coach. He's one of our, he is our top coach. He has more of our clients under his management than even me. He actually coaches more Break Free. Congratulations, Jeff. You actually coach more people than I actually do. And it's one of the few people that I coach one-on-one. There's only 5 people that don't directly work for me that I coach one-on-one. Jeff's been with us for a long time. He is a small business master. There's no other way you'll find that by listening to him if you've never met him before, but he's going to be our host today. So I am going to make Jeff our host, mute myself out, and let him take over. Trust me, he knows what he's doing. So enjoy, ladies and gentlemen.
Awesome. First, thank you so much, Ryan, for having me and allowing me to host the panel here. There's a lot of different opportunities that I have throughout the year to speak with groups, with businesses, at events. And to me, this is just an amazing event, if for no other reason than how it's now happening. This was an event over a year in the planning, as I've been fortunate to see behind the scenes for some of the things that you and your team have been doing. And when things went bad, when stuff hit the fan, many businesses just decided to fold. Many events said, screw it, we're done. Some events didn't even give refunds. And instead, we see you, Break Free Academy, your team, and every single person step up. All of the speakers step up. All of these great panelists today step up. And not only did you refund or give people 10 times credit, but then making this event free makes a statement. There's a lot of gurus, speakers, experts, whatever you want to call them out there, that are a lot of talk. And as most of us would agree, actions speak a hell of a lot louder than words. And so when we see actions like this and we see you stepping up, leading, setting an example, not just talking about it, but making it happen. And so it's been incredible to be a part of this and to host this panel today. So that said, if you haven't met me before, my name is Jeff Ducharme. I'm one of the owners of No Coast Business Advisors. We are a business brokerage. What that means, we help people buy and sell businesses. And what that really means is that we also help people scale their business. We consult and coach and help people turn their business into more valuable assets. Along with that, I've got a few other businesses here or there, as most of us do as entrepreneurs. But one thing I resisted was being a serial entrepreneur that did one thing fail, one thing fail, one thing fail. I just keep buying and holding on to them. I've sold a few of mine, but I like collecting. Some people collect cards, some people collect coins. I collect businesses. I'm pretty interested in getting more. In fact, 2 of my business partners, I will be starting another business, in fact, this week during the pandemic, during everything, the sky is falling, but we're starting another business. So I live here right in the center of the United States in Lincoln, Nebraska, though I'm not always here. About 100, 150 days, 200 days out of the year, I seem to be traveling, though not as much right now. That said, here's what we're going to do today. I'm going to allow each of our panelists to introduce themselves, talk about what they do, where they live, what they sell, or just what they're about. And then after that, we're going to go through a series of questions, one question at a time. Each panelist gets to address that question and share their experience with you. So if you're watching this panel, whether it's live right now or at home, take the time, make some notes, make the investment. This may be a free event, but make no doubt, you're making the investment of your time when many others aren't. There's many people right now, they're binge watching whatever Netflix show or rewatching Tiger King for the 5th time or whatever else and sitting on the couch eating chips. But others, like you, are taking the time to better themselves, taking the time to get ahead. Each of our panelists, as you'll hear, are phenomenal as human beings, but also in their own professional niches. So let's get right into it. And why don't we start with Dr. Alex Spinoza, if you would start and introduce yourself as we roll around the panel.
Yeah, so first off, Jeff, thank you. Ryan, thank you for having me on as well. My name is Dr. Alex Spinoza. I am based here in Las Vegas, although I have clinics all over the country. I am a regenerative medicine physician, so more specifically stem cells and stem cell specialists. With that, I also do a lot of anti-aging treatments, from telomere lengthening to hormone therapy in all my clinics. Basically, my goal is to kind of enhance and push the limit of whatever genetics you were born with and then make you better. That's what I do.
Awesome. And let's move on. Let's go on to Hannah, if you would go ahead and introduce yourself as well.
I'm Hannah Hornstein, and I'm here in Agoura Hills, California. And I'm with World Financial Group. So we're a financial services marketing company. We work with Ed Milet. Some of you guys may have heard of us. So nice to be with you guys today.
Outstanding. Thank you so much. And then let's move on to Mr. Jonathan Federa.
Hey, everybody. My name is Jonathan Federa. I live in New York. I've been in small business lending the past 12 years. I own Sprout Lending. Sprout Lending is a marketplace where we basically help clients get into the best programs they're going to qualify for, whether it's SBA loans, these new SBA programs, lines of credit, equipment financing, you name it. You know, that's what we're doing to help people and help them grow their business. I've also created a course with Ryan, many of you guys know, called Capital Gains, which teaches people how to start helping business owners get the financing they need to grow and expand.
Awesome. And moving on to James Golden.
Sorry about that. I had to unmute myself. Jeff, thanks for the introduction. Ryan, humbled and grateful for the opportunity to be here. My name is James Golden. I'm the founder and CEO of a company called Pavement Management Group. You're probably thinking to yourself, what is pavement management? Basically it's identifying the right treatment to perform to the right roadway at the right time. That's it in a nutshell. I'll get into more on that in a second. I'm based here in Central Ohio. I've lived here for the majority of my life, if you will. For anybody that's an NFL fan, you watched the NFL draft last night. My Buckeyes took 2 and 3 in the draft right there, which is pretty cool and exciting for Ohio. I've also got a couple satellite offices. I've got 2 in Florida and Tampa and Orlando area, as well as 1 in Branson, Missouri, of all places. You just kind of go with where you need to grow, right? So what we're really doing is, all of you out there, you live in a city, a municipality, a township, or a village, right? And every year, that city that you live in, they've got X amount of dollars that they spend on their roadway construction effort. So one thing to realize is that consultants like us in the professional services world, within the niche of transportation engineering, I'm not out there doing the work. I'm not performing, the pothole repairs and the road maintenance. I'm helping to maximize that effort, have better impact of those funds that are spent, save your taxpayer dollars, and just improve your roadway network overall. We do that through a data-driven pavement management blueprint that I created, leveraging international and US, ASTM standards, if you will, to collect all this data and, process that, condition analysis and assessment and things like that, and help our cities better direct those funds. That's it in a nutshell. That's what pavement management is. And that's what I've been up to, my whole 21-year career.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So now that you've met our panelists, and as you can see, we have a lot of diversity, different fields, different professions, different states. Now we're going to swing into digging a little deeper, digging into some relevant topics for today. And if you watched yesterday's panel, there'll be some similar questions, but some very different answers, I'm sure. But before we go into that, since we do have Dr. Spinoza here on our panel, we'd also like to take this time to address any updates or any additional advice based on the pandemic. Basically, the reason that we're here doing this as a virtual event And we have his kind of expertise, which I can attest to firsthand, somebody that I trust with not only my life, but my family's life, who has helped take care of us. He's somebody that I've come to know and trust immensely in his profession as an expert. So, Doc, if you would, please share with us.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of the good news that's coming out nowadays is that communities are starting to do what's called antibody testing. So when any virus goes running rampant through a country, when any pandemic like this occurs, there is a large amount of people that actually get the disease, they actually get the virus, and they either have a little sniffles they think are allergies, or they're completely asymptomatic. We're learning that a lot of children that have passed this COVID-19 around were largely unaffected completely. They were just carrying it from one person to another. So what we're starting to do, and what a lot of other communities starting to do, and what you can do for yourself in the area, is find a place that has antibody testing, where this will show you whether or not you actually had the disease before, and if you had the disease, that you've built up some sort of immunity to it with the antibodies. Now, a lot of cities and states that I've seen have masks that are, you have to wear them. They are mandated by law. I get it. I see these governors that aren't educated about the disease and everything like that. However, if you are wearing masks, or if you're forced to wear masks, make sure that you're trying not to touch your face as much as possible. Make sure you're throwing those masks away. When you go out, don't reuse masks if you can avoid it. And the biggest thing is get out and move. We've seen in all the studies that the biggest comorbidity that actually hurts people, kills people with COVID-19 is obesity, along with hypertension, high blood pressure, both of the things which can be helped 90% of the time with just exercise, getting out, getting sunlight, getting warm air. The other big thing is a study just came out yesterday showing that COVID-19 is killed by heat and is killed by humidity significantly. I think the degrees was about 75 to 80 degrees. COVID-19 lasted about a minute and a half in the air outside. So getting outside in the heat, in the warmth, sweating, losing weight, making sure that you're internally boosting your own immune system, as well as those people in warm and humid areas, you're going to see that these numbers drop significantly. Now, in the news, do not freak out, because in the news, you will see that there will be this huge wave of news articles saying as soon as people started to go out or protest, there's a huge spike in COVID-19 deaths. Now, that's not true. In fact, that we are seeing that COVID-19 has actually been here earlier, February, January, sometimes into December. Some patients that I've seen that were sick in December had COVID-19. So the numbers are skewed based off of the amount of tests we're doing. The more tests we do, the more people are going to have COVID. The more people that have COVID, the more that medical facilities will start to mark deaths as COVID. And as you've seen, we have a lot of very strange things, people getting in car accidents, people with stage 4 cancer, unfortunately passing away and being counted as COVID. So don't focus on the numbers. Don't focus on the news. Get out, get moving, boost your immune system. And if you have the ability, get your antibodies checked in the areas that you're around.
Awesome. So as you can see, it's nice to have access to real experts and not some talking head in the media that may have other agendas, or politicians, or where it may be. And so as part of this event, as part of Break Free Academy, as part of everything that I know that Ryan Stewman has always been about, is cutting through the BS, getting to the real experts, and getting information to people just like you. So next, we're going to roll into the series of questions for each of our panelists. And the first one's very important and relevant because, again, as you see, many businesses are just shutting their doors. Many businesses are giving up. There's opportunities to pivot, to make things happen in your business, to find some way to push forward, even if it's just setting up a comeback for when you are allowed to open your doors again. So what this has also done is it's driven innovation. Pressure creates diamonds. Pressure creates innovation. And I think you're going to hear from a panelist some of the things that they're doing in their business right now to combat the negativity, combat the change in the economy, the change in the markets, and everything that's going on. So that said, let's go ahead and go back to Dr. Spinoso and find out what is, and here's the question basically, and that's what innovation have you implemented in your business during this time?
Yeah, so we actually did a couple different innovations, and what I've heard from other business owners as well, kind of the same thing. First and foremost, we built out a telemedicine platform. So those patients that we couldn't get to, we have put ourselves online through Zoom calls like this, ways that we can interact with our clients. I know construction industry has also done the same, sending things over bids, things like that over online. We also have taken all of our seminars. We do a lot of in-person, face-to-face meetings. We recorded them all, and just like this $1 Million Mastermind right now, we have plastered it online and driven traffic to it, so that instead of us having to see a patient face-to-face at these seminars, we get them directly into the clinic after watching our seminars. We also increased our ad spend. Everybody right now is pulling back ad spend, and you could get Facebook, TV commercials, radio, super, super cheap, extremely cheap. And then the last thing is a plug for myself. We created a cure for COVID-19. So we're actually working with the FDA right now to administer our cure for COVID-19 using stem cells. We've treated 4 patients, all 4 patients completely cured within 5 days. So those are the big things that I think can help people. The ad spend, the seminars online, and telemedicine, or some way to get to your patients digitally.
Awesome. Yeah. And again, as you said, many people are pulling back. And here's what I learned a long time ago. If most people go left, go right. So if most people pull back, lean in. This is a great time of opportunity. And as you said, congratulations again on developing that cure and that treatment that you're testing. I look forward to seeing that in many, many more places. And next up, Hannah, would you like to tell us what innovation has been important for you at this time?
Sure. Thank you so much. So I'll tell you that, I hate to use a tragedy and, these types of bad times to really have some positive things happen, but I guess that is a good thing. So for me, I've run my business the same way for, some of you guys can see me okay. I run my business the same way for over 20 years. I joined this business when I was 22 years old. And it's always been an in-face, in-office business where we've essentially run meetings and trainings. And I've always met with my clients face-to-face where we talk about their finances. And there's always been a talk about, well, you can do this through the internet. But I always felt like it wasn't personal and that I needed to meet with my clients face-to-face. So much so that if I had a client in a different state, I would personally offer, look, I'll fly to New York to meet with you because I need to be face-to-face with you. Like if I'm going to talk to you about your finances, or if I'm going to bring you on as a partner with my company, I need to have a face-to-face with you. So that was always my, my way of conducting business. And, I have young children, but I was doing a lot of traveling. And so when my, kids got a little older, now they're 8 and 10, it was almost hindering me because the travel was really wearing on me. So now when this whole thing hit, it was overnight that we were introduced to the Zoom platform, and we had to start interacting, by Zoom. And I'll tell you guys that my entire business transformed. I realized that we are able to absolutely conduct business through Zoom, and clients were absolutely even more comfortable doing Zoom. We used to have clients that were canceling, or, we would drive to a client. It would take us 2 hours to get there. We'd get there and then they weren't ready for us. Now with Zoom, it's so much easier. So it has transformed our business, and we've been more productive. We've been able to help more people. Our numbers are higher than they've ever been. And this is literally company-wide. So, in all honesty, I think this, sometimes it takes, something like a tragedy or something happening that's, beyond your control to innovate in a way that will transform for the better. So in our business, in our industry, I think this is going to be the new way moving forward. So we're able to now help more people, affect more people, reach more people. We're able to do Zooms for thousands of people, where we were able to get maybe 10 people in a room to, get our message out. And now we're able to do it, for 1,000 at the same time. It's honestly, it's been fantastic.
Awesome. And I think you're exactly right. This is going to change a lot of markets and give people reach they never thought they could have. and it's pushing them to do things that they're kind of uncomfortable or uncertain about. Well, now it doesn't matter if you're certain or not, you're pushed into it. And it's been pretty incredible to see this across our companies and many others just like you. So thanks for sharing that. Next up, Jonathan.
Sorry about that. Thanks, Jeff. So one of the things that's been really interesting with Sprout is we really have two clients, right? Our first client is the business owners that we're getting financing for. The second client is our advisors who are all over the country. All right. So for us, we have two offices, one in New York, one in West Palm Beach. We have always used all these digital platforms. So there really hasn't been a change. Our trainings have always been on Zoom for the last 3 years. We use Trainual to train new agents. What this has done, though, is it's created an increase in demand of people that, one, want to work from home, okay, and want to be with a leading edge company to help other business owners get financing. So we've seen a huge increase in demand to be an advisor and to go through capital gains. And because it's all virtual, it's very easy to onboard and get everybody set up. Second, we've also had a lot of demand for people wanting to get into the disaster relief programs like the EIDLs and the PPP. And because it's all been virtual, prior to that, it's just been an increase in business that, everybody's working from home or remotely. I'm probably the only person that's actually in the office, and that's just because I have two kids that are, young, and they're not going to be quiet when dad's working. Other than that, that's really, we've already been in that mode of, hey, we want to be able to work remotely. So there really hasn't been too much of a change. The only change I would say is that we've told our advisors and showed and taught them how to put out more content like this so we can help more people. That's really the only difference.
Good deal. So it sounds like you're leveraging a lot of your knowledge and expertise to allow your advisors to now dispense that and put it out. And you already had the platforms in place, and now you can just do it even better. That's great.
Exactly. And I got most of those platforms because of this network.
Awesome. All right. And next up, James.
Well, innovate's a big word, right? It's one of my favorite words. And, you talked about entrepreneurship early on, Jeff. And what I would tell you is this is an area where I think we separate business owner versus entrepreneur. Having that ability to pivot in times like this, or being able to recognize situations, basically playing the game of chess. That's what you gotta be doing in business all the time and thinking ahead. Now, we can't always plan for situations like this, right? Like, I didn't think this was gonna happen, a pandemic. None of us did. What I do know is I've lost, a couple $100,000 already as a result of this, but that's my job as, head, chief action officer here at Pavement Management Group, is to keep this damn train rolling, keep my clients secure, let them know that we got their best interests at heart, and we're going to, keep pushing forward. Here's how I innovated in three stages, if you will, or 3 steps. Number 1 is AI, artificial intelligence. Okay. I'm a big systems and processes guy. What we do in data collection is big, guys. I'm telling you, we're collecting tens of thousands of pieces of data for these roadway networks. When I pivoted 3 years ago, I've done this a couple of times. When I pivoted 3 years ago and founded Pavement Management Group with this new system and direction, a lot of it was still manual. That's what you do day one, right? You create something and you roll with it. With the thought of innovation as you go. This situation has allowed me to accelerate certain systems, to automate those, if you will. Number 1, very fortunate to lock up a royalty and an ownership deal with an AI company out of Silicon Valley developing algorithms for roadway condition assessment. So I've elevated my business. I've innovated myself as an entrepreneur, which is pretty cool throughout this process. But we're going to have condition assessment automated here in the very near future. This has sped that process up. We're able to develop faster because we have more time to devote to those and more resources. We've already got a working model on that. So now, instead of my skilled workers out there post-processing data every day, we can turn them and repurpose their skill set into project management and let the algorithm do the work, provide a faster, better, stronger product to our customer. The second side of that is in our data collection, we have to drive roadways every day. I've already got an AI team, a development team, and I said, look, what if my driver was almost just like an Uber driver? All they had to do was load a file. They got turn-by-turn directions, hit start on the GoPro, and just roll and drive, follow the speed limits, and capture all that roadway video that I need in my process. Right now, it's pretty manual. We still have to hit start and stop. You can picture a roadway map. every little break in a roadway section, we're hitting start and stop and then documenting stuff in a spreadsheet. We can only collect about 15 miles a day. This process, I pitched this to the developer. Luckily they're smarter than me. They were to give me a working model last Friday of this, and I just tested it, and I'm very excited about it. So I'm going to be able to go out and innovate that process and speed that up, which is going to maximize by about 50%. Instead of capturing 15 miles a day, we're going to capture about 30. The third, real quick, is in a sales process. I can't be in all places at all times. So I was looking for ways to create value exchange. Who else is struggling? Who else is selling to similar customers like me? Software as a service, professional services. And I locked up a couple of agreements back and forth over the last 6 weeks on how we can exchange value and upsell and help similar situations and give our clients the win-win-win situation, if you will.
Man, that's awesome. Glad to hear that. And it sounds like it's really setting you up for a lot of scalability as well, and to get even bigger than you already are by being able to do things faster, like you said, and repurpose people to higher value activities. That's right. That's the goal. Being an entrepreneur, man, I've been doing this for 21 years, 9 years on my own, but I really looked at the growth 3 years ago. It's all the shit I've been doing all these years to get me to here. 3 years ago, I had a vision. Now I got to put it to action. We're just now in stage 3 of that, of trying to grow and scale that. So it's just one of those things, like if you've got an idea, if you solve a problem, and if you got a passion for it, it doesn't matter how niche you are, you can grow it, you can scale it. Great way to say it. Great way to say it. All right. So next up for our panel, moving on to the second question. And this one to me is really important because right now, all of us, and I don't care if you're an employee, an executive, a business owner, a multi-billionaire, we're all taking in information. We're all being fed, sometimes spoon-fed information from different media outlets, from different sources, social media, whatever it may be. And all too often, things have a tendency to spiral. Things have a tendency to become very negative, and it feeds off of that. There's no bottom to the negativity. And so I've made a very purposeful, intentional drive to be careful where I take in information, be careful who I listen to. And part of that's not just the information, it's the attitude. It's the positive versus negative take on life. And so the next question for our panelists is, what's the biggest blessing this pandemic has brought to your business? And that's not a question that's usually asked by the media, because that doesn't sell. They'd rather feed off of fear and negativity. And so hearing and realizing and focus on the fact there can be blessings, there can be positive things, even when negative stuff is going on. And so our panelists today are going to share that with you in something positive going on in their business, their life, their family, and maybe you can identify with this as well. So we'll start with Dr. Alex.
I think from a business side of things, honestly, the biggest blessing that has happened is that the people that are coming to us, the clients that are coming to us, the quality has improved significantly in what we do. And that should be the same for almost everybody's business. The people who are, quote unquote, braving COVID, coming out, going to your businesses, reaching out to you, they have money to spend, first of all. They're not worried about the money thing. And two, they are really, really interested in what you have to offer. So these people who are showing up to their appointments here in the clinic, or we're getting them on telemedicine, they're really serious about our services, and they really want to actually spend their money with that. So along with that, people who are more focused on their health more than ever. And I know Dr. Chalmers talked about this yesterday. People are coming in focused more on their stem cell treatments, vitamin C, things like that. So if there's people watching that are in the health and wellness space, fitness space, things like that, this is a great time to capitalize on that and to help a lot of these people who didn't know how to take care of themselves, how to boost their immune system, how to eat, how to live before. They're going to be looking for that coming out of this. So that has been a huge blessing to us in terms of what COVID has done.
Awesome. Yeah. And like you said, it's reminding people stuff they maybe should have already known, but now there's so much more pressure. They're actually going to take action on it and make it happen. All right. With that, let's go over to Hannah.
Thank you. So, same thing with us. The conversations that I'm having now are so different. And I think before I was having to essentially convince people that they needed to save. And I was having to convince people that, when we were going through their budgets and they were spending, $500 a month to $1,000 a month on new clothes and vacations and a lot of unnecessary spending. And I would have to try to make the case for, look, you need to have money for a rainy day. You might lose that job. I know that it seems really steady right now, but there might come a time where that job is not that stable. So you need to have an emergency fund. You need to save for retirement. So I would have to make the case for those types of things. I would have to share with them why life insurance was important, or why they would need a critical chronic care policy, long-term care insurance, things like that. And it was difficult because looking at someone's budget and trying to cut in there to get money for savings is like pulling teeth. But today what's happening is you turn on the news or you go online and you read almost every article, and it's like a shining light on what people have not done. And so now it's almost every conversation is literally like, okay, Hannah, you know what? I'm ready for that financial checkup. I need to see how I could save more, help me now make sure I'm putting my money into the right places. And the second thing that we do is we help people start a side business to create residual income. So now with 25 million people out of work, they're looking to me like, so how's your income right now? I'm like, my income's steady. My income's residual. I haven't been affected at all, thank God. In fact, we're doing even better because, again, people now need us even more. Our business is recession-proof and depression-proof. But again, and again, I hate to say this, but there are some businesses that do even better during the tough times. When people are doing great financially, they don't feel like they need us. Kind of like with Alex, I'm sure when people are in perfect health and they're doing great, they don't think that they need you. But when all of a sudden there's a pandemic, they're like, hey, Alex, where are you at? Right? How's my immune system doing? So sometimes it takes a scare. So, this whole thing has really, I think it's gotten people to realize that they do need someone to help them. They do need a professional to look over their money, to look over their income situation, to look over their health and make sure that they're okay. So it's been a blessing because I think for such a long time, in 2008, we were in the same situation where people needed us. But I think since then, they're like, we're good. We call it amnesia. They forget that the markets can come down. They forget that they're not immune to this stuff. So, for us now, it's one of those things where we're needed again. So that's, I think, the blessing again, is we're not fighting against, the world saying that they're good. Now they're reminded that they do need us.
That's great. And that's a great example too, because many people have that not me attitude, like, oh, I don't need that, or that'll never happen to me, or no, the markets will go up forever to infinity. And then they get that wake up call and they can put their life back on track, hopefully before it's too late. And so that's a great example. And let's move on to Mr. Federa.
All right. So similar to what Hannah was saying, in good times, my business financing is always goes strong. And in times like, today where there's a little bit of chaos, markets are going down, well, more people need financing than ever before. So it's been an opportunity to serve more clients. And when I say clients, it's been an opportunity to help more business owners get the financing they need to get through this, and hopefully, and most of them actually grow and thrive, because it's such an opportunity to borrow at these rates that we will never see again. I mean, let's face it, we're never going to have this opportunity to borrow money like this ever again. So it's exciting in that sense. On the other side of it, with advisors, it's an opportunity to give people a chance to work from home, work remotely with a high-tech company that serves its clients at a very, very, very high level, and they can feel good about that. So people can work from home, earn a great living, helping business owners not only survive but thrive. So that's exciting. And then the last step to this is, it's given me an opportunity to put out more content. I'm trying to grow out YouTube, and I'm having my advisors do the same to help and guide business owners kind of get through this with, maybe innovative tips or tricks, to stay open and, you know, come out of this stronger than as strong as possible, essentially. You're muted.
Jeff, you're muted.
There we go. Sorry about that. Wonders of technology, right? I think one of the keys that you brought up there is that businesses have an incredible opportunity. I like it when people use that word. Instead of looking at things always as bad, you know, yeah, things are rough, but you just get an opportunity to borrow at historically insane low rates instead of being saddled with high rates for 20 and 30 years. I remember specifically back in the 80s, my dad coming home and being excited. He got a home loan at like 13%. I think today people would murder their banker if that happened. So, you know, like you said, getting 3.75 or whatever, and then with the PPP coming in at 1% or whatever it ends up, it's crazy. So I think there's a lot of opportunity for business owners that take action, who listen to professionals like you, who guide them on how to properly use financing, how to make it happen, and they can come out of this and launch forward. So let's move on to James. There you go.
Well, you just hit on the word, Jeff, and that word is opportunity. You know, the universe just gave us a huge opportunity as human beings, fathers, sons, daughters, wives, all of that, business owners, entrepreneurs, to hit pause. Like, this is a huge pause for everybody right now to reflect and take action. That's kind of where I'm at. Those are two words that come to mind for me in blessing, because it's been a huge blessing for me. I feel better. I sleep better. I look better. I'm working hard. You know, my mental toughness is through the roof. You know, I'm somebody who, you know, is faced with adversity. It's, why did this happen for me, not to me? That's an Ed Milet reference, 100%. You know, Hannah's going to get that one for sure. You know, he's a mentor of mine, and you know, going down this personal development and growth journey, if you will, these things start to come and resonate. So there's a great opportunity to continue that path. You know, we've all are going to be affected by this in some way. You know, some of us are going to lose money. Some of us are going to actually gain money as a result of this type of thing. But if anything, it's a great time to pause and reflect. You know, the blessing for me is that time. I needed this. This came at a perfect time for me. I was struggling in other areas of my life. You know, Ryan Stewman, I'm a part of the Apex program, you know, represent what winning looks like at all times. I wasn't always doing that, right? We all fail, we're human beings. This was a great time to reflect on those areas, like my genetics, right? I finished something called the 75 Hard program. Some of you have heard of this, listening to this, back in October. For some damn reason, I couldn't get restarted with phase 1. This was a kick in the ass, because I found myself in March thinking about not necessarily doom and gloom, but oh my gosh, how this potentially going to affect me? Drinking more, sleeping in a little bit later because I'm not having to be at the office. All these things were happening, but reflection, audit my situation, and put a plan of action in place. That's the only thing I know to do, is recognize that something's happening. So we were able to do that, you know, and you know, the time component, my wife, she's a baller in her own right, man. I've got 5 kids, blended family. I got adult kids, teenage kids. They're girls, by the way, which is why this is all going on here. It's crazy, man. So we've been able to spend time together. You know, I travel just like Jeff does, you know, a lot. My wife took a promotion 6 months ago. She's been traveling. That's new to our family. You know, we never had time to pause and reflect the family dynamic and what that impact had there. I'm growing my business. I'm traveling. She's traveling for work, you know, as a solution consultant, and our kids are struggling. We're all struggling. We've been able to come together, reflect, talk about things, how we're going to move forward when we get back to the traveling schedules and stuff like that, put some plans in place. And, you know, that's the blessing. The other side of that is a direct result is I've been able to kick myself in the butt because I have that time and say, what else do I need to be doing? What are my other aspirations and goals? I've always wanted to exit pavement management group someday. That's what I'm working on. I'm reading Jeff's book as we speak, by the way, because of this. And, you know, this is something I would love to get into, the coaching and, you know, and helping phase sometime soon. And this is a great opportunity for me to dip my toe in that. You know, as a result of the last 6 weeks and making those connections like my panelists have done here with their clients and their groups, I've had people reach out to me and say, when are you starting a coaching program and stuff like that? Well, I'm doing it. You know, it's a side hustle right this second, and maybe that's where it stays. I don't know, but taking action, you know, doing some other things, checking things off the bucket list, if you will.
That's awesome. And so, as you could hear from all of our panelists, it wasn't just, oh, poor me, or blame somebody else. And too often that's a rut that people fall into, and they play the victim. And whenever something happens, as James said, instead of looking at why this happened to me, why did it happen for me, and having just a different outlook. Oftentimes people react when they should be responding, which is quite a bit different. When you respond, it means you're taking control, you're taking accountability, you're going to find a way through. And it's such a different mindset. And it's not one that's often projected in the media, sometimes even social media. And it's easy to dogpile on negativity or the blame and shame game when it comes down to it, whether it's for yourself, your business, or your family, it's up to you. You've got to make do with it. You've got to take control and make it happen. So the third question now we're going to come to is about implementing, but not implementing now, like we were talking about the innovation question earlier, but this is about implementing as soon as the stay-at-home order is lifted in your state. As you probably have seen, every state is a little different right now. Some are about to open, some are kind of opening, some are saying, hell no, we're never going to open again or something. And there's a lot of animosity. There's a divide between those who want to open and those who don't. Those who say, well, do whatever you want, and those say, well, no, screw you, I'm going to tell you what to do and how to live your life too. But when it comes down to it, we all have to have a plan. And James alluded to this very well, is having that vision and then actually implementing it, taking that action. So what I'd like to ask all of the panelists now is simply, what do you plan on implementing? What's going to be the next stage when the doors open again? And whenever that may be in your state. It might be next week, it might be a month, it might be months, whatever it is. But when we get back to some sense of the new normal, some sense of openness again, what is it that you're going to be bringing to the table? What is it that you plan on making happen? So let's start with Dr. Spinoso.
Yeah, I think the two big things that we have started to implement already and we're going to continue to implement is working harder and hiring more. So when this restarts, whatever normal looks like, people are going to be very smart about where they spend their money. And as a part of that, all of your competitors, most of your competitors are going to be just completely decimated. So looking to acquire your competitors so you can acquire their clients is going to be a big thing. And then outworking them. When people come into our clinics, when people go into your business, what are you doing over the top, Disneyland level service where everybody goes in there and they feel good and they feel happy about spending their money with you? And then the second thing, hiring more. With that comes firing more. 23, 27 million people are going to be out of a job. A lot of those people are super high quality people in what they do now. And now they are ripe for the taking in all the businesses. Does it suck that there's this many people without jobs? Abso-freaking-lutely. However, this has created a huge character building opportunity, not only in your own business, but you could see which one of your people, which one of your clients, etc., who is freaking out? Who do you just not want to deal with anymore? Who can you replace? Because you're going to be able to replace that person with someone who is 3, 4, 5 times the quality right now for the same cost. And that's just going to boost all of your businesses up, all of our businesses up, because we're going to be open. We're going to be getting through this together. That's why you're going to listening to something like the $1 Million Mastermind. We're going to be able to hire a lot higher quality people. And those people who are just kind of getting along in your business and you did it just because you didn't know that there was anybody else out there, or it was hard to find good quality people, now you can let those people go because you're going to be able to replace them with 1 or 2 killers who are going to love to work for you.
Man, I think that's such a great point. This is something a couple of my business partners and I were talking about. Not only will businesses who make it through this gain market share, because some of your competitors will go under, and that's not always a bad thing, by the way, because sometimes I look at it this way. If our business, if each of us can do a better job, provide a better service, and take care of people better, then I'm upset when I screw up and allow them to go to somebody else. I allow them by not educating the market, by not seizing that market share, and I let the consumer down. That's kind of how I look at it. I take it very personally. But to your point, not only is going to be market share available, it's going to be quality employees, because when those employers go under, those businesses go under, those people are going to be looking for a job, and now you're in the command seat, so to speak, to pick and choose the best ones. instead of settling for a heartbeat and a body that some of us have had to do when times are tough, when the unemployment was low. I mean, it's a good thing, but a bad thing in some ways. So I think it's great you point out that opportunity. Let's go over to Hannah now. What do you see coming up for you?
So, as I said, it's one of those things where I've now accustomed to doing the Zoom thing, so really loving it. Although our business has offices all over the place, but I think what we're going to be doing is we're going to go back to having our offices, but we're now going to be able to do both. So I think some people prefer to work at home, and before, my mentality was, if you were a person that didn't want to interact, you didn't want to come to an office, you didn't want to be part of an environment, we didn't have space for you. So there were a lot of people we were not able to bring on, and we were severely limited on who we were willing to work with. And so I think now, because we found a new area to play in, I think that we're going to be able to just scale, 10, 20, 100 times. So it just literally allows us to change our entire platform to those that want to have an office, those that want to, work the old school way, and those that want to embrace technology and, basically work with clients through Zoom, or, again, even something that's more 50-50. So the goal is more advisors that are building their own teams. But again, it's allowing people to, build a business that fits their life. And I think that what this pandemic has also brought to light is that, everybody has their own dynamic in their life as to how they want to live their life. Some people want to work at home, some people want to be able to travel, and they want to design their own life. And again, this has given people the time to essentially stop and, kind of take that step back and really figure out, financially and spiritually where they want to be in life. And, it's actually interesting. We talk about these loans that, these PPP loans that have been given out. And I read an article that one of these businesses had received the loans and they had to hire back their employees. And some of the employees didn't want to go back to work because they were receiving more from unemployment. And so they were literally having to take that step back and say, do I even want to go back to a job? So for our industry, where we're looking for entrepreneurs, we're looking for people that want to design their own life and they want to create their own business plan. I think that's going to be great for us because our business model really does allow for that, where people can decide how often they want to work, how much they want to earn, and create that life. So our whole business model is going to be essentially recreated in helping people do that. So I'm excited for it. I'm loving this time. I'm almost wanting more time. We're going to open up May 15th, but I'm excited. I think it's going to be awesome.
That sounds incredible. And I think you hit the nail on the head. More than ever, people are seeing opportunities. They don't have to be shoved in a box. There's an interesting model and research been done, for example, on Walgreens. All of us are probably of the age that we can remember once upon a time when there's basically one Walgreens per small city and then a couple Walgreens per the big cities. And all of a sudden their model changed and they went to a Walgreens like every couple blocks or so because they realized people were so instant gratification based, they simply wouldn't travel. But then what they realize now rolling into today's market, or even the last few years, is people just don't want to come in. They'd rather have it delivered. They'd rather have different services. So to your point, Hannah, the old model, more than ever, is getting thrown out. People are saying, I don't need to keep tweaking things. I don't need a better horse and buggy. I want the car. I don't need a better car. I want a spaceship, whatever. So they want a whole new model where they can choose to live their life however the hell they want and deal with a customer that is maybe in Europe or in India or in Florida or in Kansas, wherever you want to be, instead of feeling like you can only sell to the few people around you. And I think that's pretty amazing. A lot of our businesses that we deal with in consulting and as our brokerage are starting to see the same things you do. And I think this latter half of this year is going to be very revealing for which businesses are ready to jump out and get ahead and take the steps that you're talking about taking with your company. So I think it's going to be pretty fascinating to watch and see what goes on. All right, James, what do you think? What are your thoughts on this matter?
Yeah, so implementation, man, that's one of my favorite words as a systems guy, right? But what I'm going to focus on for this topic is actually my team. So as I've gone through the self-reflection phase, if you will, I've got all this time on my hands, supposedly, right? I started thinking about how grateful, remember I went back to the G code, and gratitude is one thing that I was somewhat lacking in, and I'm very grateful to have the team that I've got. So from terms of implementation right out the gate, they're going to get a better benefits package. And I'm on YouTube and I'm on YouTube Live, so they're going to hear this one way or the other, right? They've got some additional things coming their way in terms of better pay incentives and things like that. I'm very grateful for what they've done. I'm going to piggyback on what Alex was saying, and I'm going to grow the team. I plan on hiring 2 individuals, one in a different location and one right here on my team right now. We may have lost some dollars and cents right now, but I have no doubt that through building the machine, some of these things I'm working on right now on the sales side of the house, I'm going to be just fine. We want to get ahead of that and bring good quality people in, like Alex was mentioning, Dr. Spinozo. So we'll be doing that. In terms of implementation, man, the other thing is this, and Hannah was talking about this, is like, we're on Zoom right now. Like, think about what we're doing that we could have been doing in Dallas. Of course, we'd love to connect and be out there and, have a bourbon on me at the bar later, right? And there's people doing happy hours right now over Zoom calls, and I'm not saying that this technology is going to completely escalate. I will tell you, in the world of municipality work, business to government, this has actually been one of my blessings, because they didn't have a choice but to come on a Zoom call to finalize project deliverable, go over kickoff meetings, stuff like that. Normally I'm driving 2 hours, hopping on airplanes to sell and all these things. Well, this kind of forced them into a little bit of a box to say, well, I don't have a choice. We can't travel. If I want to talk to James, I got to get him on a Zoom call. So what that helped me to realize is I'm going to continue those efforts, because now it's acceptable. It's acceptable to offer that to my clients. Hey, let's jump on a Zoom, save everybody's time and energy, and let's get this done. And then finally, remote working. I think what we're finding through all this, and I'm not an expert here, I just read some articles here and there, is holy shit, workers, kind of what Hannah was saying, they're productive at home. They can actually get things done. They're happier. They're maybe more fulfilled. And I think it boils down to us as business owners recognizing that we need to talk with our employees a little bit more and understand what their dynamics are and how they like to work. That's important. And I think that's something we'll be implementing at Pavement Management Group. I built the system and processes to be online, if you will, in terms of operation, but I still wanted to have that office feel. You know what I mean? I kind of wanted to kind of grow and scale the office, but that's kind of, that ship has sailed. So more focus on what our employees makes them happy and how they like to work, and setting up systems to implement that'll allow that to happen. And I think remote working is going to be obviously more widely accepted as a result of this COVID-19 situation. We'll see more and more businesses taking that type of an approach.
Awesome. And I think you make a great point. Some of the innovations and things that people like you and the rest of our panelists have been trying or working or testing already that was receiving some resistance, some of the vision that we already had to push things forward that was going to take years to get acceptance for, is now being accepted because you don't have any other choice. So these big government agencies and these other big companies, even, who would normally be very slow and resistant to change, while the smaller companies sometimes pivot faster, as you mentioned earlier. I think this is a good thing in some ways, just because it can accelerate acceptance of innovation, accelerate acceptance of technology or new ways of doing business that might have taken, half a generation to get through. I think we all agree we do business different now than 10, 20, 30 years ago, even, and it just keeps growing exponentially. And sometimes it needs a kick in the butt to move forward and get that acceptance. And I'm not saying I wanted COVID to tear up our country and to cause all the problems, but at the same time, I think we can all hear and see and realize and experience that there are some good parts of it. There are some things that are happening that are beneficial and will be beneficial for years to come. That said, let's go on to question number 4. So a few people have alluded to this a little bit already, but this is, how are you using your off time to help your customers and prospects out? And this is something you've heard a few of our panelists already mention. This is about your customers, your market, your prospects, seeing who you are. This is demonstrating through leadership and action things that will support them. We're going to find people that act like predators right now and that take advantage of people and do harm to them financially or however else. And there's a difference between those who look to prey upon people and those who look to serve people. It's incredible. We see the few pockets of positivity and things that businesses are doing here or there that are either directly in their line, in their lane, so to speak, of their business, or sometimes things completely outside of their lane, but they just do it to take care of their people. You see, I believe that when this is all over, people are going to remember who showed up. They're going to remember who folded too easily, who gave up. They're going to remember who was there for them. They're going to forget some of the details, but I have no doubt they'll remember how you made them feel as the business owner, as the representative, whatever it may be. They'll remember you were there for them in some capacity. So in the future, you'll gain more because of that. You may gain more business, you may gain more authority, just more loyalty in your customers, whatever it is. But the actions that people are taking right now, that brands are taking, that companies, organizations, those actions they're doing right now to help people is going to be remembered. So that's our next topic for discussion. And Dr. Spinoza, if you would take it away.
This is actually, I guess, pretty unique to what I do, since I am a physician and we do fight COVID and things like that. I've been educating a lot of people about IV vitamin therapies, things that can boost their immune system, glutathione, stem cell treatments, exosome treatments, things like that. The biggest thing that I've done online and Facebook, Instagram is post the truth. There's a lot of media out there that's going to say, if you go outside, you will die. If you don't wear a mask, you will die. Anything you do to touch another human, you will die. Do not shake hands. You will probably have your hand fall off and then you will die. So posting a lot of the truth about the disease in general, about its spread, about the antibodies, about the antigens, about the ability of humans to fight it off, and the facts that there's data showing obesity, diabetes, hypertension, 90% of the people who are having really bad outcomes, intubations, deaths, things like that, 90% and above have only one comorbidity. If you have two, it's like 98%. So educating people to exercise, get out, boost their immune system, take care of themselves, take care of their families. And then if they have elderly family members, obviously social distance from them properly, things like that. The education thing is going to be really important. And I think people can use that in their own field, educate themselves about how COVID is affecting their field specifically. I know the guys on this and the ladies on this call are at the forefront of knowing how it's going to affect their business. So learning that and bringing that to people is going to be important.
Awesome. And so I think one of the things you hit on just talking about education, which is just right in line with what you do. And I've appreciated and shared personally some of your videos, whether it be how the media or certain people are wrong about using the mask or wrong about other things. So I think it's almost like myth busting. And I've appreciated hearing your voice, not just as some reporter. Not that reporters are bad, but there's a difference between an expert and somebody that's repeating something that somebody else heard. And so seeing you step up and deliver that, not just to your patients and to your vicinity, but to Hannah's point, spreading that word and reaching audiences you may not have ever reached before with the tools on hand. So I appreciate you doing that and helping people like us, as well as our groups and all over the country. That said, let's go on to Hannah and see what your plans are. There you go. You can unmute.
Sorry. So, sorry, I was interrupted. Can you just repeat that question quick? I heard it, but that I was interrupted.
Absolutely, no problem. And so this question is really about what you've been doing to help your customers and prospects out during this time off. So what have you been doing for them?
So we have basically been on overdrive in terms of trainings. So literally every single day, probably from the time I wake up to the time I go to sleep, we're doing tons of trainings, walking people through on Zoom. So it used to be that we were only able to help people, when we were able to meet them in the office. So now we're teaching our new agents how to fill out applications, how to help customers. We're also walking our customers through, how their products are working. We're moving people's money faster. So everything right now is just faster and more thorough. And again, I think that this has completely shifted the game. When you're working on a schedule where you're having to meet with people live and you're only able to take a certain amount of appointments a day, you're just very limited. So now we're literally able, and I have been working tremendously. So it's not really been any time off. I can't even say there's been any time off, but literally every 30 minutes there's another appointment. So I think it's just having more access to me, and lots and lots and lots of Zoom trainings and lots of recorded trainings that we're able to also send out. So it's just, I think the best word I can use is access, lots and lots of trainings. And that's probably the best way I can describe it.
Well, I think that's a great way to stand out. Like you said, it's showing you not being a commodity. It's showing you that when times are hard, you show up for them even more. And that's what I was talking about before. I think that's what they're going to remember you for, and appreciate and see that even though they know times are tough for you, you're still there for them. That said, let's go on to Mr. Federa. And also, I noticed that I did actually skip you on the last one. So if you would, go ahead and cover both the areas on this for both questions, which would be including what do you plan to implement after business opens back up again, as well as what you've been doing during this time off. So please go ahead and take twice the time and share your experience and ideas.
Nice, Jeff. Well, I haven't had time off. That's the truth. I've been basically going 7 days a week. Usually I put in a lot of time. I think my kids are surprised when I come home. They don't really recognize me. But it's an opportunity to serve. It's an opportunity to serve at a higher level, to help business owners and to help people work remotely. So some of the things that we would implement, I mean, because of the increase in demand, it's actually given me a lot of opportunity to evaluate my team. Who rose to the challenge? Who should I put in a leadership role? And then who maybe did not come through the way I thought they would, right? So this is going to be used as a great evaluation tool because a lot of our team stepped up and are really operating at a very, very high level. Next, because of how much, how many people are unemployed, to Alex's point, it is an opportunity to add people to our team that normally we'd probably never be able to get, right? Because they're, the rock stars that are always employed, you have to, poach. And I don't want to say poach, it's a negative word, but you don't get top earners, top producers. And I think that's a huge opportunity, not just for my business, but for anyone who owns a business. There's going to be top talent available that you can bring on. Next, in terms of what we've implemented after, we've actually come up with a program that we're going to launch here in the next 2 weeks that helps Amazon sellers and e-commerce sellers finance and grow their stores through not traditional methods. And we're one of the only people in this entire space that has that, and we're going to be launching that soon. So that's just another program we're going to be rolling out, and we're really, really excited about it.
And if you could comment a little bit more, I mean, I don't want you to expose the details of that program. I know it's still in the workings. You don't want to let anybody know everything yet. But how do you see this impacting Amazon and e-com in general? What are you seeing? Because I know you lend to a lot of those. So what do you see happening after this crisis?
I think that Amazon and e-com they are taking off. I mean, if you look at it now, just nobody wants to leave their house. So nobody's really going to the brick and mortar locations. And you're just seeing Amazon sales take off, e-com sales take off. So there's a big opportunity in that space, not just to become a seller or sell online, but also to help them grow. So anything that's going to help businesses that are in the e-com space grow, whether it's financing, systems, technology, ads, that's going to be a big focus of ours. And there's a lot of opportunity there, not just today, but moving forward.
Awesome. And I agree. I think more people than ever are realizing, you mean I don't have to go to the store and fight for a parking space and pay for parking some places, and I don't have to go fight a bunch of idiots at the store. And I mean, you know me personally, I hate going to stores. I like dealing with people sometimes, but this whole deliver to the house thing, I'm kind of starting to buy into it more. I know I very publicly tease my wife about sometimes because I get so many packages showing up to my door, but I think we're going to see more and more of that, and more stores and restaurants even realizing they don't have to have as big of a footprint. If they can do delivery, use shipping other online methods, that convenience trumps everything and gives us time with our family and whatever else it may be. So I think you're going to be positioned for an avalanche of business as you keep digging deeper into that market. So congratulations for that.
Thank you.
Let's move over to Mr. Golden.
Well, the whole time off thing, you know, Jonathan was just mentioning, like, we haven't had time off necessarily. It's more of just like reallocation and repurposing of the time due to the situations, right? And that's what we're all trying to do, is take advantage of those time blocks and time schedules. So to kind of piggyback on a couple questions ago, you know, one thing that I implemented here is I called a coach. I reached out to somebody because I usually run kind of an off the cuff lifestyle, to be honest with you, between all the kids, the traveling, the different dynamics in the business. I found myself needing a little bit more structure. So I reached out to somebody I respect. They put me on track with a plan for success, and I'm implementing that, right? And what that's done is allowed me to reallocate my time, reposition my time, create what like Thomas Keenan would say, some time buckets, right? He's a fellow, you know, friend and coach in the Apex program and a fellow leader. And that's allowed me to open up more availability, be more attainable to both my team and my clients. So one thing I've been able to do just within the last week, I would love to sit here and say I was right on top of it day one and calling everybody. I needed to have some, you know, some James adjustment time, but I've done it, you know, reaching out to my customers via video message and just saying, hey, look, you know, I'm here for you. You know, we're going through some stuff. Remember, our clients are government, you know, so their jobs are probably there, you know, their budgets were already approved previous year for this remaining year of what's going on. So they're not in a doom and gloom state. They're probably just operating on what, you know, skeleton crews, maybe some lack of resources, maybe a shoulder. So those city council meetings that they're all used to going to and attending, they're not happening. Remember, it's going into May. So roadway projects, especially in the Midwest, they're well underway or supposed to be underway. They're delayed. They're not going to happen. You know, a lot of this stuff is happening to our clients. So what I did is made myself more available. I reached out and said, hey, look, whether we're doing a project right now or not, or you're able to do a project, if you're struggling and, you know, needs, you know, a consultation, if you will, a resource to bounce ideas off of how to, you know, talk about, maybe we can't do this roadway project this year as a result of the delay. So what is the effect of next year? You know, it's things along these lines, reaching out to the clients. A lot of people, you know, wanting to get into business to government need to realize that on the other end of those government contracts are real life human beings. Crazy, right? They're actual people just like us that want to work with people. So when you can create more value in your market space, you know, the market share, marketplace, excuse me, and you can do what your competitors aren't doing, like a couple of our panelists had mentioned, and separate yourself, there's always a separation season, you know what I'm saying? And look for opportunities to do that. That's what I've tried to do. That's the client side of the house, is just being more approachable, letting them know I'm here, saying, hey, how can I help? I'm not trying to charge for any of these consultations. I don't care about that stuff. From the prospecting side of the house, you know, from LinkedIn, you know, that's kind of where I do a lot of my you know, my content strategy, if you will. That's where most of my customers are. It's extending that offer out there. You know, number one, it'll separate myself from the marketplace, but actually care and want to help other people be successful in their roadway management plans. So this has opened that up, some opportunities. Matter of fact, I did a Zoom call at 9:30 this morning with the prospect that they saw a video out there, reached out to me, and it's been great. I was able to give them some value and help them out. And whether a project comes out of it, I don't care. I just know I was able to help them out. So
that's awesome. All right, so we're going to go through a final round here, and hopefully you've either been reminded of something you already knew, or were inspired or taught, or were exposed to something that you hadn't thought of before from our panelists. Again, there's a wealth of experience, information, and expertise here. So in this final round, we're going to give them an opportunity to tell you how to reach out to them. And even if you just want to bounce an idea off somebody, you want to make a new connection, maybe you do want to do business with them, maybe you have a referral for them, I don't know. But here's what I do know. I've made an incredible amount of money in my life, and a lot of it's been done off of building the right relationships. So we have an opportunity to connect, to follow somebody, to take in more of the information. Take advantage of that. Don't let those kinds of opportunities just blow by. So if each of our panelists would, go ahead and share what's the best way to get a hold of you, what's your preferred contact method, how do they find out about you, those kinds of things. And Alex, if you would lead us off.
Yeah, Instagram is probably the best way. I will answer all the DMs. It may take me a while. However, if you have any medical questions, hit me up on Instagram, Alex Spinoso _MD, or on Facebook, just Alex Spinoso. I'm there. I answer Messenger as well. My company, one of my companies is CellSpark, CELLSPARK.com. You can look us up on there on the stem cells, and I will be on there all the time. I'm always answering people. My wife yells at me for answering people at like 11:30 at night. But I'll be able to answer your questions. If you're terrified, freaked out about how this is going to affect your business as well, I have 3 different businesses, so I know I can speak to that side. But if you have just medical questions as well, reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to help you out.
And Hannah?
So same thing, Instagram, I answer every single DM, and it's Hannah, HANNA Liza, Liza, Hornstein, HORENSTEIN, or you can get me here on Facebook as well, Hannah Hornstein, and message me. You can also reach out to me any questions that you might have regarding, your finances, everything that we do in terms of helping people with budgeting, debt, insurance, just planning for short or long-term savings. We don't charge. We do an absolutely complimentary review and hopefully offer suggestions as to, just how to get in better shape financially. We're like almost a financial doctor. Also, in terms of business opportunities, a lot of people start with us part-time to add a secondary income stream because they're looking for residual income. We work with realtors, loan officers. We even have people from the medical field, or we even have lawyers that work with us that want to create that residual income stream, CPAs. You'd be surprised. Even people that are already earning 7 figures, but they understand that at some point when they stop working, their income's going to stop as well. And so they want to create a residual income stream, or they just know that they have a lot of people in their life that they would love to help. And so number one, getting that financial knowledge themselves and then being able to pay it forward to other people. So, anyone that right now that their income's been affected and they're looking to either increase their income or add a residual income stream to what they're already doing, send them over. I've been doing this for 20 years and it is really a fabulous, fabulous opportunity. And, it's changed my life. I love it. And so anyone, financial questions or business opportunities, reach out. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And Jonathan?
Yep. So Facebook and YouTube, it's just Jonathan Federa. Look me up. If it's YouTube, and because I do put a lot of content on YouTube, especially when it comes to financing and growing and scaling your business, it's Sprout, SPROUT, lending, and we'll pop right up. And then next, if you're interested in, becoming an advisor, all you have to do is go to breakfreeacademy.com and look up Capital Gains. That's the program that teaches people how to get into this space. And from there, we'll add you to the group and get you started.
Awesome. And James?
Well, on the off chance any of you out there are really interested in building better roadways, just go to pavementmanagement.com. I spent a chunk of change on that domain last year. So you can learn about that type of a process and what we're doing as a company. Probably more importantly, is I just established the Good to Golden coaching platform, if you will. Instagram is a great way to catch me, just like Dr. Spinoso and some other panelists here, at good, 2 golden. I'm very active on Instagram. I'm very active on Facebook. A lot of you guys have seen my content. I've also got a podcast, the JG3 Project, which is in full-blown rebrand mode to Good to Golden for obvious reasons. I've got about 47 episodes and counting right now, all based on how do we level up, So if you're interested in starting a business, if you've started a business and the revenues just aren't where you want them to be, these are all things that I'm more than happy to have open conversations with. I don't care about transacting dollars and cents. It's not about that. It's about if it's a good fit and how we can genuinely help people pursue their passions and dreams.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So I'd like to thank all of our panelists for sharing Again, these are all, let's put it this way, highly compensated individuals. And for them to take time out of their day to be here with us to provide for you is incredible. This is sometimes the things you don't get access to. Again, that's one of the things I've come to appreciate about my relationship with Ryan as my friend, as one of my mentors, is the connectivity, what he brings, and more importantly, who he brings to the campfire, who he brings around to share with others. I've made some incredible friendships, some business opportunities, and more because of it. And I'll leave off with this. If you would like to reach out to me, I'm pretty easy to find. Jeff Ducharme. You spell my last name, do us harm. You can find me on any social media. Also, if you'd like to contact me directly, just go to contactjeff.com. Makes it a lot easier than trying to spell my last name. And then my friend Thomas gave me the idea yesterday of having a gift to thank you for watching this video and participating in their panelists. So as I mentioned earlier, I do have a business brokerage. My business partner, Jethro Hopkins, and I actually wrote a #1 international best-selling book called Exit Lever. This is about avoiding the mistakes that business owners make when buying or selling a business. And if those are the mistakes in buying or selling, guess what? They're also the mistakes in building the business the right way. So we consult and coach and work with many different clients in that capacity. So if you'd like a free copy of that book, go to exitleverbook.com. The first 10 people who jump on there and just leave your email, we'll hook you up. We'll send it to you. No big deal. We like to help. We like to serve. It's kind of who we are. As James said, I don't care about a few bucks in a book. We'll just give them away. We're here to help people. And of course, if you're already in Apex, you should see plenty of me in there as well. Myself and Thomas Keenan are two of the coaches who work directly with Ryan to add value and to help the amazing people that are part of Apex. So again, thank you for all our panelists for being a part of this. And thank you all those who are watching for being a part. And of course, stay tuned and make sure you see each and every speaker as part of $1 Million Mastermind.
Thank you.